Joseph. You chose Joker.
We chose him.
The other, go ahead.
We chose Joseph Parker, right? Because I've only read, but I've heard people telling me, oh, he ducked him. He's scared. Hello, excuse me. A kid who went and fought Baby Miller, unbeaten fighter, destroyed him. Philip Hergovich, they said definitely not going to beat Philip Hergovich. Destroyed him. Anthony Joshua, they deemed the grotesque mismatch. Destroyed him. Well, we're going to then duck Joseph Parker. No disrespect to Joe. Tremendous fighter, but sorry to disappoint you people. Sorry to disappoint you, Joe. I think I've actually heard also Joe start to buy that concept that we may have avoided you for what? For what? No. Hell no. This is the coach talking now with the coach's hat. No, you were not avoided. We merely pulled our fighter away from when doctors have recommended he doesn't fight. We pulled him off that. We're not foolish like yourself, Joseph Parker. You also, on record, said that you were ill when you fought Joe Joyce and you got knocked out. So you're the foolish one. Don't fight. This is going to all the fighters out there. If you're feeling unwell, to the degree that you're not unwell, don't fight. Live to fight another day.
The other fighter on Wednesday that did do media workout was, in fact, Joseph Parker. And so what you're addressing is people saying, well, maybe Daniel saw or you saw something that Joseph was doing in the media workout and was like, nah, we don't want none of this.
Listen, you've got my attention now.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you. No. What I saw as a coach, I was laughing. Yeah? The little bit that I saw that you and your coach were doing, I was laughing at that. Yeah, you got away lucky in my opinion. Yeah, the shape Daniel was in, yeah, stylistically would have destroyed you. That's why we chose you.
Then of course,
you got my attention now.
Let me stop right there. That is Don Charles breaking silence and ripping Joseph Parker a new one. He says Joseph Parker was stupid. Joseph Parker was foolish for fighting Joe Joyce sick, which me counterpunching in, I think that is pretty much on point. If you're sick, you shouldn't fight. Now, mind you, if you still felt you could win, that's what it is. But Joe, how he explained it, man, I was sick when I fought Joe Joyce. I didn't want to pull out of the fight, but if you knew you had very little chance of beating Joe Joyce, you shouldn't have fought Joe Joyce because you're in the business to win, not to get paid or not to fight when you're not feeling good. So I do agree with Don Charles on that one, okay? Media workout. He said he looked foolish. He said he looked foolish. I was laughing at what they were doing, him and Andy Lee. So that means it not only affects Joseph Parker, it affects his trainer, Andy Lee, the Andy Lee that had the tutelage of Emmanuel, or the great Emmanuel Stewart. So it involves him too. Now he's name dropping Andy Lee's name. So yeah, it's getting physical. It's getting personal with the camp. You're talking about the trainer, Andy Lee, which they have a pretty good track record. Those are 5 fights in a row. 3 in 2003, 1 in 2024, and 1 this year in 25 with Bacali. So 5 fights they've won together. Andy Lee training Joseph Parker. Okay, so to say he is he's foolish and I was laughing at what they were doing, like what was he doing that was so funny to you, Don? You know, I would have took that as an insult based on the fact it's like, yo, what are you laughing about? You know, and for him to say that, Don Charles, speaking of which, well, I was laughing, you're foolish, you got lucky, you got off good, you know, and we didn't duck you and all this, that, and the other. I say, prove it. I say, prove it all. Like, you know, even, and I didn't see all of that. What I heard is exactly what you got. Uh-oh, snap. Oh, man. What I heard is exactly what you guys heard. Okay? That's what I heard. Okay? There we go. What I heard, it was exactly what you guys heard. Him explaining what the doctor said, and he's been through this before, and it happens like, so basically, if it happened in the Usyk fight, it happened in the Joshua fight, it happened that night, or 2 days before that fight, and it just wasn't enough time. My only question is, if this had happened before, if this has happened before, what was the protocol before? Was it just letting something run its course? Because that's how it was explained. Like Don Charles said, well, he let it just get out of his system, and it took him about 4 days to do so each and every time it happened. In the Joshua fight, in the first Usyk fight, like they're going to fight him again, and in the Parker fight. The only difference was it didn't happen earlier on. It happened right before the fight, this particular fight or time. And if this has happened before, they should be ready or have some type of, strategy, because that sounds like a virus. A viral infection is a virus. But what's the deal with viruses? They run its course, like he just said. So if he knew it runs its course and he knew he had prior knowledge with his fighter that's went through the same shit before, why did he agree with that doctor giving him antibiotics? And see, for people that know better, antibiotics are not used for viral infections. Okay? I have the documents right there to show you. Okay? And that is a close friend of mine telling me, explaining to me, like, no, for a viral infections are viruses that have to run their course. So why would he, in fact, want to take antibiotics? See, that's what's wrong with that. Now, I know Don Charles is not a doctor, so he can't do that. He was like, well, why don't you ask them? It's like, well, I think, that should make more sense. You're giving us this show and tell. You're telling us something. You're showing us nothing. You're just telling us what a doctor did or what a doctor said. But then yet you let him, oh, he's been through this before. So if Daniel's been through this before, you guys should know what's going on with him, or he should have a full palate search. Okay. He should have a full breakdown of what's going on with him. I mean, everything. He should have, so that shouldn't just, oh, well, he's infected. Like, no, you should know why. He needs a breakdown, okay, to see what's going on with him. A whole physical breakdown. His chart needs to be from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet to see what's going on. It may be because of the climate change. Like I was told it was the first time I heard that Daniel was sick and he may not fight. I heard from a very powerful source that no, this, it's just wear and tear and the change of weather and the change of climate. That's what I heard, or that's what was told to me, not what I heard. Right? So that being said, him saying, oh, well, Joseph, if you think that we ducked you, that's tough. That's not enough. That's really not enough, honestly, because, you're just saying, okay, well, hey, we were going to fight you. We chose to fight you. We're not going to fight you. We're going to fight someone else. I don't think that's good enough. No, I appreciate what Don Charles did. I appreciate him breaking it down and pretty much staying, in the same storytelling that Radio Raheem explained on his behalf, and it sounded the same. So there's no discrepancy there. But at the same time, there's no reconciliation on what could happen with this fight. You're talking about how you were laughing and how bad Joseph Parker looked in the media workout, and you've picked him on a voluntary, is a voluntary, meaning it wasn't mandatory, so we don't have to fight you. He made that point known. But at the same time, where does it leave anybody? Nowhere. It leaves no one nowhere, because at the end of the day, Joseph Parker fought someone. Daniel Dubois did not. So hell, you take a little sneeze and a little ear infection, and you got a championship for a unified title fight. You know what I mean? Okay, you beat Joshua, that's cool. And to me, him fighting Hrgovic, really sufficed of him getting the title, because it was either him or Hrgovic that was going to receive the IBF title once Usyk dropped that bad boy back to Daryl Peoples with the IBF. So I get that, but at the same time, you saying all this derogatory about Joseph Parker And I know he's saying it because Joseph is buying into the narratives. And I know that's angering Don Charles. But the way he responded was disrespectful. So if it's that disrespectful, Don, why don't you put your fighter where your mouth is? Get Daniel Dubois' ass over there and fight him. I tell you, better yet, and it's going to suck because this is boxing. Boxing works this way. Let's see, he goes in there. Daniel gets that fight he's looking for, and he gets his ass whooped. Then what? Then what's going to happen then? Okay, then you should then fight, because Joshua ain't going to want to fight Dubois if Dubois gets fried, smoked, cooked again by Usyk. He ain't going to want him because he has nothing to offer. See, and then here's the thing. Now Daniel's left without a belt. So now he was the WBA regular and the IBF super, if you want to call it super. And then he gets smoked, and then Usyk takes his belt back, and that's that. And he's the undisputed heavyweight champion 2 times, right? In years of 24 and years of 25. Now, where does it leave Daniel Dubois? Guess where? Back at Parker. Now let's see that fight. Because there's no there, and if I'm the promoter, if I'm the trainer, I wouldn't want my fighter to fight someone like Joseph Parker anyway. Because that's the narrative, that he ducked Joseph Parker. So he has to, at some point, based on the coach, Don Charles's trash talk, based on how he feels that Daniel was going to destroy him. Okay, well, at some point, they should guarantee, win or lose, because he could win if he beats Usyk. You owe it to Joseph Parker to give him that fight that never happened, that he agreed to fight you and you agreed to fight him. And the only thing that stopped you guys from fighting was a cold. So since that cold gave you an upgrade, then you taking that upgrade and being successful on that upgrade, you need to honor that fight with Joseph Parker. Again, win or lose, because if he loses, fight Joseph Parker for his WBO interim. Okay, so he could be right back in formation to fight Usyk again, which I don't think Usyk will even be there, because after he fights Dubois and he fights someone else, his fighting days, I think, are over. So that being said, I think something should be set in place for Parker and Dubois to actually have a fight. Unfortunately for Parker, he may not fight Dubois for that belt or belts, because Dubois more than likely will get his ass smoked by Alexander Usyk. But I'll tell you this. Don't be surprised, in closing, don't be surprised if Daniel gets beat by Usyk and Usyk takes that strap back, that IBF strap, and then they try to get that Dubois fight and Joseph Parker. You know what Joseph's going to do? No, mate, because I'm next in line on the WBO end to fight Alexander Usyk. So guess what? You have to wait. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this long breakdown between Don Charles insulting, disrespecting Team Parker. You were stupid for taking the Joyce fight. That's right. You were looking foolish in the media workout, which was disrespectful. And I was laughing at you, also disrespectful, the whole time, and you got off lucky. Also disrespectful. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.